April 1, 2025. In the calm darkness over the Red Sea, an audacious surprise assault unfolded. A wave of kamikaze drones launched in unison, zeroing in on their objective. The USS Harry S. Truman, an immense, nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, and the ultimate emblem of American naval dominance. This wasn't merely a tactical strike. It was a bold declaration of war against the United States. A calculated provocation aimed squarely at the pride and unshakable force of the world's leading superpower. So what truly transpired on that pivotal night? And how did America respond when its mighty sea-based fortress came under siege? This is Navy Secrets. At exactly 2 a.m. on April 1st, under ideal conditions for a covert operation, the USS Harry S. Truman's early detection systems picked up multiple small, fast-approaching objects from the direction of Yemen, initially mistaken for seabirds or radar anomalies. Those suspicions vanished in seconds. The objects accelerated and shifted paths erratically, classic signs of kamikaze drones, identified as Samad 3 and KSF-1 models. Klaxons blared throughout the ship. The Phalanx CIWS defense system kicked in, unleashing a torrent of high-speed rounds in a desperate effort to neutralize the incoming threat. Several drones were destroyed mid-flight, but one managed to slip through the outer perimeter. Skimming just above the water's surface, it detonated near the carrier's hull, sending a violent shockwave through the ship and causing a jarring tremor. While structural damage was minimal, the psychological and strategic fallout was immense. The USS Harry S. Truman is not just any vessel. It's among the most formidable warships on Earth, hosting more than 5,000 personnel and dozens of aircraft. The fact that a small drone, launched by a non-state actor like the Houthis, came that close and rattled the behemoth was startling. This wasn't just an act of aggression. It was a direct challenge to U.S. supremacy in the Red Sea, a vital artery for global trade. The attack compelled an immediate reaction from the U.S. military. Within 18 hours, high-level emergency meetings convened between U.S. Central Command and the Department of Defense. At 10 p.m. on April 2nd, a retaliatory operation received the green light. The goal wasn't just retribution. It was a warning, loud and clear, to the Houthis and any others watching. Any threat directed at U.S. forces or vital international shipping lanes would be met with swift and decisive force. Overhead, MQ-9 Reaper drones were dispatched to locate and verify enemy positions. From offshore Navy destroyers, a barrage of Tomahawk cruise missiles streaked through the night. Their targets: drone storage facilities and command hubs in the Sada region and on the outskirts of Sana'a. Simultaneously, F-divided by a -18E Super Hornets launched from the deck of the Truman. Flying in coordination with the A-18G Growlers, aircraft specializing in electronic warfare, they jammed enemy radar systems, blinding the Houthis and severely hampering their ability to retaliate. One of the most formidable components of the strike came from B-1B Lancer bombers. These long-range jets, flown in from Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, were equipped with precision-guided munitions. They delivered devastating blows to underground bunkers, command posts, and improvised drone launch strips. Careful planning ensured that civilian areas were avoided, with every strike preceded by cross-verified intelligence. But the assault wasn't limited to the skies. Beneath the surface, a Virginia-class submarine lay silently in wait, launching more Tomahawks with pinpoint accuracy. Renowned for their stealth, these submarines played a critical role in the multi-layered operation. Overhead, P-8 Poseidon patrol aircraft monitored maritime activity, ensuring the region stayed secure for global commerce. In just 36 hours, the bulk of the Houthis' drone capabilities in northern Yemen was either obliterated or rendered useless. Key storage depots, communication nodes, and UV launch pads were taken out of commission. This forced the group to halt its drone activity targeting Red Sea vessels. But this response wasn't merely a display of force. It carried a clear message. The United States was drawing a line. Any disruption to its naval presence or to international shipping would not be tolerated. The Red Sea, connecting the Mediterranean and the Indian Ocean via the Suez Canal, is among the most crucial trade corridors on Earth. If factions like the Houthis can interfere with that traffic, the repercussions ripple across the global economy. Still, the operation's success brought forward difficult questions. How did such rudimentary, inexpensive drones manage to breach advanced defenses? And how should powerful militaries prepare to counter this evolving threat? As warfare evolves, brute military strength alone no longer guarantees security. Nations must now adapt to confront smaller, nimble adversaries using affordable technology with strategic precision. In recent years, drones have reshaped modern conflict, from Ukraine to Syria, and now Yemen. Their low cost, ease of deployment, and elusiveness make them an ideal weapon for asymmetric warfare. For militant groups like the Houthis, drones offer a way to strike powerful foes while minimizing risk to their own fighters. The US military understands this shift. That's why immediate discussions began around bolstering shipboard defenses, enhancing radar capabilities, and developing more effective anti-drone solutions. Experts suggest that tomorrow's warships could be equipped with cutting-edge laser or microwave weaponry, capable of neutralizing drones with greater speed and efficiency. Ultimately, the attack on the Truman, and how the United States retaliated, exposed a shifting landscape in modern warfare. Massive aircraft carriers and nuclear submarines remain essential, but nimble drones and clever tactics now have the power to tip the scales. What you've just heard covers the initial attack launched by the Houthis on the USS Harry S. Truman. Now let's dive into how the Truman and its escort fleet defended themselves. In the early hours of April 1st, as an unexpected swarm of hostile UVs descended on the USS Harry S. Truman and its supporting vessels, the U.S. Navy demonstrated how layered defenses, electronic countermeasures, and rapid coordination can prevent catastrophe before it strikes. The first line of defense was stationed at the perimeter, where the Aegis Combat System, one of the world's most advanced naval protection networks, became vital. On-board destroyers, like the USS Gravely and USS Mason, advanced radar arrays instantly identified the incoming drones from long range. Without hesitation, these ships launched several SM-2 surface-to-air missiles, built specifically for long-range, high-altitude interception. The missiles locked on quickly, destroying many of the UAVs high above the sea. From the Truman's flight deck, crew members could see the flashes of exploding drones, offering the first visible sign that the assault was being taken seriously and handled with precision. Still, not every drone was intercepted. Some flew low, hugging the ocean surface to evade radar detection. As they crept within just a few kilometers of the strike group, the second defensive ring kicked into action. The USS Harry S. Truman, along with nearby ships, activated their phalanx close and weapon systems, also known as CIWS or CIWS. These radar-directed Gatling guns unleash a torrent of fire, capable of firing thousands of rounds each minute. The instant the UAVs entered range, the CIWS turrets locked on and fired automatically. Within moments, the first batch of close-range drones was torn apart midair in a hail of bullets. Gunfire echoed across the deck, lighting the night sky with glowing tracer rounds. The crew held steady, fully aware that their survival hinged on the system's precision and their unwavering discipline. Yet, a few drones still managed to pierce the narrow space between missile defense and close-range guns. For these final threats, another safeguard came into play: the Evolved Sea Sparrow missiles, or ESSM. These were launched vertically from both the destroyers and the Truman herself. Tailored for fast, elusive threats like drones or anti-ship missiles, the ESSMs homed in with lethal accuracy, striking targets before they could get any closer. One drone, seemingly seconds from impacting the hull, was intercepted mid-flight and detonated just a few hundred meters from the carrier, a close call that might have ended in disaster. Meanwhile, above the fleet, the U.S. Navy deployed another critical asset to the battle. Electronic warfare played a crucial role. A squadron of EA-18G Growlers, already in the air on a routine patrol, was swiftly redirected to support the strike group. These specialized aircraft are built to disrupt enemy radar, communications, and guidance systems. By emitting powerful jamming signals, the Growlers interfered with control links guiding the incoming drones. One UAV, likely dependent on satellite navigation or remote control, abruptly lost contact and spun out of control, crashing harmlessly into the sea. But the impact of electronic warfare extended far beyond that single drone. The jamming interfered with numerous other UAVs, preventing them from receiving new commands or correcting their courses toward the fleet. In today's combat environment, electronic disruption can be just as decisive as kinetic firepower. Thanks to a seamless blend of physical and digital defenses, the U.S. Navy emerged from the engagement completely unscathed. No ships were hit, no injuries reported, no detonations aboard. All that remained was wreckage bobbing in the water, fragments of enemy drones brought down before they could pose a true threat. It wasn't only a triumph of technology, but of discipline and coordination. The sailors, aviators, and officers involved executed their roles with absolute precision. From the radar technicians, who first detected the incoming swarm, to the missile teams firing SM-2s, to the CIWS operators ready at close quarters, and the Growler pilots jamming control signals, every link in the defensive chain functioned flawlessly. This incident served as a powerful reminder of why layered defense strategies are essential in today's naval warfare. Modern threats don't just come from enemy warships or submarines. They can be small, low-cost drones carrying explosives, launched from trucks, beaches, or even disguised fishing vessels. These UVs are hard to spot, and even more difficult to stop unless intercepted early. Yet in this case, the U.S. Navy demonstrated that with the right blend of systems, long-range interceptors, rapid-fire guns, maneuverable missile platforms, and sophisticated electronic tools, even a fast-moving drone assault can be completely repelled. In the aftermath, several officers praised the crew's swift and composed response. One senior officer aboard the Truman remarked, "The drills we run are exhausting, but today they proved their worth. Everyone acted without hesitation." Comments like these highlight the intense preparation behind the Navy's calm efficiency. Continuous training ensures that, whether facing missiles or electronic threats, the crew responds like a well-oiled machine. And that's exactly what unfolded in the early morning hours of April 1st. As threats continue to evolve and more militant groups gain access to affordable drone technology, incidents like this are expected to become increasingly frequent. That's why the success of the USS Harry S. Truman and its escort fleet represents far more than a one-time tactical win. It highlights how today's naval forces must adapt, layering their defenses and placing trust in both cutting-edge systems and the people who operate them. From the radar technician's screen to the gunner's barrel to the pilot soaring overhead, every component plays a vital role. The multi-tiered defenses protecting the Truman are truly remarkable. Now, let's turn our attention to the powerful counteroffensive launched by the U.S. Navy. The moment a Houthi kamikaze drone detonated near the USS Harry S. Truman on April 1st, it was immediately clear to U.S. command that a decisive response was not only warranted, but inevitable. Within hours, senior Pentagon officials convened urgent meetings with U.S. Central Command to evaluate the situation and prepare a counterstrike. Intelligence teams worked swiftly, identifying the launch points of the hostile UVs. Many of these were hidden deep in the remote, mountainous regions of northern Yemen, including areas near Sada and key zones surrounding Sana'a. After thorough verification and risk analysis, a comprehensive retaliation plan was approved. At 10 p.m. on April 2nd, a highly coordinated, multi-pronged operation was set into motion, aimed not only at crippling Houthi drone infrastructure, but also at sending a firm and unmistakable message. Any threat to U.S. forces, or freedom of movement in the Red Sea, would be met with overwhelming and unrelenting force. The operation began with precision airstrikes from F divided by a -18E Super Hornets, launched directly from the flight deck of the Truman. Armed with long-range cruise missiles and anti-radiation bombs, these aircraft targeted UAV storage depots and command sites with pinpoint accuracy, while minimizing the risk of civilian casualties. In tandem, IA-18G Growler jets took off to engage in electronic warfare, jamming hostile radar networks and communications to minimize retaliation and protect Allied aircraft from surface-to-air defenses. For full command visibility, E-2D Hawkeye surveillance planes maintained high-altitude overwatch, delivering real-time situational data on both aerial and surface activity. Meanwhile, guided missile destroyers such as the USS Gravely and USS Mason, stationed miles off the Yemeni coastline, unleashed salvos of Tomahawk cruise missiles. These weapons struck deep into Houthi territory, neutralizing radar outposts, UV production sites, and fortified bunkers used for weapon storage and operational control. But what truly set this mission apart wasn't just its firepower. It was the seamless inclusion of modern, non-kinetic warfare elements. In recent months, U.S. Navy destroyers had been actively developing and refining drone neutralization strategies that didn't rely on traditional munitions. In fact, in the lead-up to this counteroffensive, both the USS Gravely and USS Mason had already demonstrated their ability to neutralize drone threats using electronic warfare, without firing a single round. Crews aboard these vessels deployed systems like the N/SLQ-32, often referred to as the SLC-32, to detect, jam, and disorient hostile UAVs by flooding their control frequencies with disruptive signals. A classified report dated February 19, 2024, detailed how sailors on the Gravely successfully intercepted and downed multiple drones using non-kinetic methods alone. These engagements, which didn't rely on missiles or gunfire, not only preserved valuable ammunition, but also allowed the ships to remain on station far longer without needing to resupply. This marked a pivotal evolution in naval combat, evidence that warships could counter the growing drone threat through innovation rather than sheer firepower. The concept of non-kinetic defense quickly began reshaping the strategic mindset of surface fleet commanders. Rather than retaliating against every threat with a destructive payload, ships could now employ a suite of tools, jamming signals, electronic interference, and electromagnetic disruption, to silently disable incoming UAVs. In many instances, drones would simply lose guidance and crash into the ocean, overwhelmed by the intensity of the electronic noise. Another crucial asset in these operations was the Signal Exploitation Equipment, SSE, which provided real-time intelligence and electronic data, enabling crew members to make rapid, informed decisions in the heat of battle. Defense experts noted that this approach didn't just lower costs, it offered a sustainable and scalable way to counter the rising tide of drone threats from groups like the Houthis. During the April 2nd counterstrike, the synergy of traditional firepower and next-generation electronic warfare proved highly effective. Over 30 Houthi targets across Yemen were struck in just the first 36 hours, including UV storage hangars, radar outposts, and key command facilities. One particularly impactful strike involved a B-1B Lancer bomber launched from Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar. It dropped a load of precision-guided bombs on a deeply buried bunker, believed to be the primary drone command center in Sada. The results were immediate. Satellite imagery later revealed the obliteration of several reinforced structures, and intercepted messages suggested widespread disarray among Houthi leadership. To increase the pressure, U.S. Navy submarines operating covertly beneath the surface, including a Virginia-class attack sub, fired additional Tomahawk missiles aimed at critical supply lines and weapons caches. Importantly, this wasn't a solo operation. French and British naval forces stationed in the region played a vital supporting role. Though they didn't conduct direct strikes, their contributions in intelligence sharing and radar surveillance were indispensable. This collaboration underscored the strength of international naval partnerships and emphasized how coordinated global efforts are essential to safeguarding international shipping lanes. The mission demonstrated that while the U.S. possesses the might to act forcefully, it also values and depends on the collective capabilities of its allies in complex maritime theaters. Among the most notable results of the operation was the complete halt of Houthi drone activity in the Red Sea. Intelligence confirmed that in the days following the strike, no new drone launches were observed from northern Yemen. The extensive damage to infrastructure and the loss of critical hardware forced the Houthis to completely halt their UAV operations. While their ability to rebuild over time remains likely, the U.S. had secured a crucial window to reassess its defensive posture and brace for emerging threats. The psychological blow dealt by the counterstrike was equally significant. Despite being an unconventional fighting force, the Houthis had come dangerously close to one of the most advanced warships on Earth. The U.S. response, swift, overwhelming, and precise, reasserted America's maritime superiority and set a powerful reminder to adversaries worldwide. The U.S. Navy can and will respond anywhere, anytime. Beyond the immediate military victory, the operation offered valuable insights into the evolving nature of naval warfare. It underscored the increasing importance of drones on the modern battlefield and the urgent need for navies to incorporate non-kinetic defense tools into their daily readiness. It also validated the effectiveness of layered defense. The Truman Strike Group's ability to detect, track, and neutralize drone threats using a blend of long-range weapons like SM-2s, close-in systems such as CIWS and ES-SIMs, and sophisticated electronic warfare solutions served as a textbook demonstration of maritime defense in the 21st century. Every sailor involved, from the radar specialists to the interceptor crews and the electronic warfare teams, played a vital role. Their seamless coordination was the product of relentless training and deep operational experience. Ultimately, the April 2nd counterstrike was more than a tactical win. It marked a strategic inflection point. The operation proved how a technologically advanced, well-synchronized, and internationally backed naval force could dismantle a growing asymmetric threat in one of the globe's most crucial maritime zones. As the U.S. Navy continues to operate in volatile and unpredictable theaters, the hard-earned lessons from this engagement will influence future doctrine, resource allocation, and training priorities. The power of America's counterattack lay not only in its firepower, but in the message it delivered. The broader strategic implications of the U.S. Navy's retaliation went well beyond punishing a hostile act. They served as a calculated signal to both adversaries and allies. By striking back with such speed and force, the U.S. made it unmistakably clear: any attack on an American aircraft carrier, the crown jewel of U.S. military presence, will be treated as an act of war, and the response will be immediate, overwhelming, and unrelenting. That message resonates deeply in today's world, where asymmetric threats are on the rise. Groups like the Houthis, operating with limited resources, but empowered by accessible technologies, like drones, are increasingly capable of challenging conventional forces. By dismantling the Houthi drone network in just a matter of hours, the United States reasserted its technological superiority and proved that while adversaries may adopt guerrilla-style innovation, the U.S. military still leads the world in execution, coordination, and effectiveness. But the broader significance becomes even clearer when viewed through the lens of geostrategy, especially considering the vital role of the Red Sea. This narrow stretch of water, positioned between the Arabian Peninsula and northeastern Africa, is a critical artery in the global trade system. Each year, trillions of dollars in goods, including oil, liquefied natural gas, and manufactured products, move through this route via the Suez Canal. Any disruption in this zone creates ripple effects across international markets, influencing everything from energy costs to food supply chains. That's why securing the Red Sea is far more than a regional imperative for the United States. It's a global mandate. The Navy's ability to swiftly and effectively eliminate the threat delivered a powerful message of reassurance to the international community. The U.S. will not stand by while global trade routes are endangered. At the same time, this response reinforced the integrity of long-established maritime norms and laws, principles that uphold every nation's right to navigate freely in international waters. The operation supported not only U.S. strategic interests, but also the shared economic priorities of countries across the world that depend on open sea lanes for their prosperity. From a strategic messaging standpoint, the mission reaffirmed America's position as the foremost maritime power. It demonstrated flawless coordination across technology platforms, intelligence operations, multinational partnerships, and tactical execution. The combined use of kinetic force and non-kinetic strategies, such as electronic jamming and allied collaboration, proved that the U.S. Navy is not only equipped for traditional naval warfare, but also highly capable of adapting to emerging, unconventional threats. The speed with which the operation was conceived and launched also highlighted the extraordinary level of discipline and readiness that defines American naval operations. The moment the go-ahead was given, assets from the air, sea, and cyber domains were activated, engaging multiple branches of the armed forces and several allied nations. This seamless interoperability showcased America's unique ability to lead sophisticated coalitions and respond cohesively to sudden crises. Moreover, the operation was a live showcase of doctrine in action. While many countries talk about rapid response capabilities and integrated warfare strategies, few can implement them with the precision and impact that the U.S. Navy displayed. This went beyond neutralizing a single threat. It was a comprehensive exhibition of the Navy's global capabilities, spanning intelligence, electronic warfare, targeted airstrikes, and coordinated logistics on a worldwide scale. The visibility of this success sends a strong warning to any potential adversary. Future provocations will not only be met with overwhelming power, but with a level of tactical planning and integration that few can rival. At the same time, the mission sent a stabilizing message to America's allies and partners in the region. Amid ongoing volatility in the Middle East and increasing threats to maritime security, many regional actors rely on the U.S. for reassurance and leadership. The decisive and effective response to the Houthi drone assault made it clear that the U.S. remains fully committed to maintaining security and order in strategically critical waters. It also reinforced long-standing defense partnerships and opened the door for deeper cooperation in areas like intelligence exchange, joint drills, and collaborative naval patrols. In the bigger picture, this strengthens the U.S.-led security framework that has long underpinned peace and economic growth across key global regions. In conclusion, the U.S. Navy's retaliatory strike went far beyond a military engagement. It was a strategic masterstroke with deep and far-reaching implications. It delivered a powerful deterrent, protecting a key global trade corridor. It reaffirmed the United States' naval supremacy and underscored its unmatched ability to strike with speed and precision. Above all, it sent an unmistakable message to the world: the U.S. is ready, capable, and resolute in defending peace, commerce, and freedom of navigation, wherever those values are threatened.